Hello everybody, welcome to this session on services marketing with a practical approach. My name is Dr. Biplab Datta and my contact details are given here so that you can send me any feedback and I can respond to them. Today we will go through the 6th lesson in this course, which is called Understanding the Macro Environment Part 2. So, in this we will see the concepts of the social environment, the economic environment and the technological environment. So, coming to the social environment. Now, here you see that what is happening in the social environment in the world and what are the reasons for growth in services globally. So, the first thing is that there is a consumer pool. So, under consumer pool you see there is growing population. So, the population is actually growing on a daily basis and they are pulling a whole lot of services. They are demanding a whole lot of services. The aging population is needing services. Now, the life expectancy of the population globally has increased and many old age people are living to a ripe age and therefore, they are needing the services to help them in their life. The income of people are also increasing and because of that they can afford services which they could not afford earlier. So, they had to do certain things themselves, whereas now they take the help of other people in helping them to engage other people or other professional or professional service companies to help them in their life. Increasing aspirations and need for achieving more. So, the people's aspirations are increasing day by day and they find that they can achieve much more in their life than what their parents have achieved, and therefore, they are aspiring higher and they are demanding a whole lot of services. For example, in case of the double income families where husband and wife both work somewhere, the wife used to earlier work outside and also make dinner and other things at home. So, she basically had a dual job, but now she is employing the cooks or the cleaning people who do all the work in the house, and both the wife and the husband can go out to do some work and earn money. Feeling time starved. So, people are feeling time starved and they do not have much time in their hands. So, they always want that they should achieve more and more within the small given time, and therefore, they are demanding a whole lot of services. And then demanding good experiences. Now, because the income of people have increased, therefore, they are demanding good experiences and these good experiences are part of various professional services. So, they go to the movie, they go to enjoy theater, they enjoy music parties. So, all this they are able to purchase and enjoy. So, all these 6 points for consumer pool are basically pulling services in their direction. Then we have the supplier push. So, on the one hand consumers are pulling services, on the other hand suppliers are pushing services. Now, global marketing is taking place. So, the services are being produced anywhere in the world and they are being delivered anywhere in the world. That is a global marketing is taking place. The population is growing and therefore, and everybody, the growing population, the young generation, they want some jobs, and that is why they are pushing ahead in engaging themselves in providing professional services to consumers. There is growing competition because of the growing population and because the competition is now trying to focus on customer satisfaction for business survival and growth. So, people are all professional services are competing against each other in order to provide better and better services to the consumers, so that the consumers can be can demand their services and consumers can enjoy the same. Now, so we understand that there is a consumer pull and there is a supplier push. So, suppliers are pushing services to the consumers. Then in between there are enablers. How can suppliers push services to consumers? So, some enablers are access to high speed internet. We find that lot of services are being provided by high speed internet. So, banking services, telecommunication services, payment services, bill payment services, the services which help the payment of money to different concerns. So, these kind of services are being enabled by the high speed internet. Moreover, the high tech services which are bit and atom based products. So, there are bit based products and many companies are providing bit based services like banking services or ticketing services or tourism services. So, these are the bit based services. In case of atom based services or in case of atom based products, they are not able to directly pass on the product to the customer like food or clothing, etc., but all information exchange and monetary exchange is being done over the internet or online. So, we see that the enablers for these services being pushed and pulled, the enablers are the access to high speed internet and high tech bit based products. Then we come to the global society. What is the scenario? What is the scenario of the global society today? We see that around 7 billion people inhabit the world today. If the world were a village of 1000 people, it would consist of 329 males and 325 females who are 15 to 65 years old. Then 270 children and 76 people who are 65 years or older. So, there would be 180 illiterates out of those 1000 people who are 15 years and older. There would be 333 Christians, 210 Muslims, 132 Hindus, 118 non-religious people, 59 Buddhists, 35 Sikhs, 23 Jews and 12 Baha'is among others. 127 people would speak Chinese as their first language, 49 Spanish, 49 English, 33 Arabic, 27 Hindi, 27 Bengali, 27 Portuguese, 22 Russians, 18 Japanese, 14 Standard German and 13 Japanese among them. So, what services do these people require and how can we deliver those? So, obviously, different religious people would require religious services as we know of. So, churches, mausoleums, temples, etc., would provide lot of religious services and that would be demanded by the people today. Then different people have different language and the language is some kind of a hint towards the culture of such people. So, English people have a different culture than Bengali people or Portuguese people. So, one can set up shop in each of these cultures and sell services to each of these people. You can also think of what other ways you can deliver services to the global society. Then we come to understanding the social environment. The culture of the population also affects the acceptability of the services that we wish to offer. Culture consists of values, beliefs and attitudes of the people as individuals and in groups. For instance, McDonald's had to offer vegetarian food cooked in vegetarian oils when it faced resistance from the Indian population over the usage of non-vegetarian oils for cooking vegetarian meals. So, the McDonald's had to change because of the pressure from the culture of India. We must also understand that fashion, fads, trends and the prevailing tastes of people. So, prevailing trends can be understood from websites such as trendreports.com and trendwatching.com and journals such as Trends Journal. So, from this we can understand what are the different trends which are which are happening in the global society today, and accordingly the companies can provide services to the people. The continuing with the social environment, the tastes and preferences, purpose, method, occasion, quantity of consumption and the values associated with consumption of a service can differ from culture to culture. It is almost impossible to change various aspects of the social environment. Hence, a business has to adapt to the culture of the region in which it is operating. So, we have already discussed how McDonald's had to change itself because of the cultural condition in India. Now, one must also understand people's prevailing beliefs about their connection with the natural environment, its exploitation and its conservation for the future. Consumers are getting more and more interested in purchasing services that do not harm the environment and conserve it for future generations to come. So, that is the social environment in the world today. Then we come to the economic environment. The economic environment can be analyzed in terms of the state of the economy, the patterns of real income distribution, the patterns of saving and debt, the expenditure patterns and inflationary and deflationary pressures. So, we will discuss all these in the subsequent slides. The economic environment and the state of the economy include an awareness of whether the general economy is in prosperity, recession, depression or recovery, as these states would determine the extent to which our business is likely to prosper under specific situations. So, at the time of prosperity, lot of goods and services would be sold. At the time of recession, it won't be. And case of depression, people would not avail of because they would not be able to buy goods and services, but at the time of recovery people would quickly understand that they have to work and produce a lot of products which is again consumed by the people themselves in the around the world, and therefore the state of the economy can be in these 4 different states, and according to the state of the economy the people would like to produce and consume services. We should also be aware of the business cycle, as every business appears to have cycles of ups and downs over the years. One should know the growth of the economy in terms of growth in the gross domestic product, that is the GDP. For instance, the world GDP growth was estimated to be around 3.1%, while the growth rate for China was 7.8% and India was 6.5% in 2012. So, everybody wants that there should be a growth in the GDP, there should be real growth in the society, so that more and more technology is used to set up more and more services, and people can purchase those services and they can enjoy those services, and the society in the world is always in a prosperous situation, and people feel happy while living in this world. Continuing with the economic environment, we see knowledge and other microeconomic factors like income distribution and purchasing power of the people is also important. According to the McKinsey Global Institute, the average annual disposable income of households in India will grow from rupees 113,744 in 2005 to rupees 318,896 in 2025. Over half of this income will be spent on services like transportation and tourism to domestic and international places. India's consumption will quadruple in the next 20 years. 80% of the consumption growth will be led by increase in income, 16% will be due to growth in the number of households, and 4% will be due to increased rate of savings by Indians. We can guess that increasing consumption will increase business opportunities and will lead to increasing incomes. By 2025, India will become the 5th largest consumer market in the world, behind USA, Japan, China and the UK. So, it is a very good time for India, and people like you have lot of opportunity in setting up great services to serve the country, serve the people of the country, and also earn some profits for yourself, through which you can again purchase other services and products and enjoy your life. Now, we see the contribution of services to the GDP of various countries. So, the contribution of services to countries GDP, the world GDP is 68%. So, services as a percentage of GDP is 68% in the world, and USA has the GDP of 226 billion dollars, and the services are 78% of that GDP. In case of the world, the total GDP is 52,668 billion dollars, and 68% of the world GDP is made up of services. In case of Japan, the GDP is 4,604 billion US dollars, and 71% of the GDP is contributed by services in Japan. In Germany, 70%, UK 76%, France 79% of the GDP is contributed by services. 42% of the GDP is contributed by services in China, 73% in Italy, 70% in Canada, and 70% in Spain. In India, 58% of the GDP of 1,323 billion US dollars is made up of services, or is contributed by services. So, out of 1,323 billion dollars, 770 billion dollars is contributed by services. Then we have Brazil, where 67%, Australia 69%, Mexico 64%, South Korea 57%, and Russia 62% of the GDP is contributed by services. So, we see that the service landscape is pretty throws up a very pretty picture, and we know that services are going to increase day by day, and people are going to enjoy those services in the world, and they can also get employment, and they can open service businesses where these services can be provided for everybody to consume and enjoy. What is the contribution of services to India's GDP in 2011 and 12? So, here we see that trade, hotels and restaurants share 18% of the GDP in 2011-12, and the year on year growth was 6.2%. The transportation, storage and communication, that the share of GDP was 7.1%, and year on year growth was 8.4%. Financing, insurance, real estate and business services were contributed 16.6% of the GDP, and the year on year growth was 11.7%. The community, social and personal services contributed 14% to the GDP in 11-12, and the year on year growth was 6%. Construction was 8.2% share of GDP and 5.6% year on year growth. So, total services, we see that 55.7% of the GDP was contributed in 2011 and 12, and 8.2% growth year on year. Including construction, services provided 63.9% of the share of GDP, and the year on year growth was 7.9%. So, we see that the growth of the services sector is pretty attractive, and it is closely linked to the FDI inflows into this sector and the role of transnational firms. Next, we see the private expenditure on goods and services in India. So, here we see that goods including food, beverages and tobacco clothing and footwear and furniture, they are on a decline from 2008 to 2008-9. On the other hand, services like education and recreation, health services, rent, fuel and power, transportation and communication, miscellaneous goods and services. So, these services are slightly increasing in 2008-9. So, there is a healthy trend of growth of services in the country in the near future. Now, we look at the return on capital employed of various service industries in India from 2005 to 2008. So, here we see that the growth rate of the economy was 9% in 2008, and the computer software, large computer software concerns grew at 35%, medium hotels at 25%, shipbreaking or repair at 24%, gas distribution 23%, large hotels 20%, and financial services 12%, telecommunication services 10.6%, retailing was 10%. So, we see that these services provided quite a good year on year growth and return on employment, capital employed, and therefore, it can give us some hints as to which services should you provide in order to earn substantially in India. So, medium hotels have 26%, approximately 26% of return on capital employed, and large computer software firms have 35% of return on capital employed in 2008, and this gives us an indication. So, all these services give us an indication of the kind of returns on the capital employed, and how we should select a particular service for starting a firm, being an entrepreneur, and providing services to the people at large. Now, some services are disappointingly poor, like media content, production and distribution of films, recreational services, and air transport services, where the growth is where the return on capital employed is actually in the negative, and maybe it gives us an indication to be very careful when we choose this kind of services. Then we come to the percentage of affluent Indians who are purchasing various services. So, the activity is undertaken at least once in 2 or 3 months, and the percentage of affluent people who are purchasing those services. So, fine dining in specialty restaurant, which is not 5-star, is 84% of affluent people buy this service. 81% buys services of shopping malls, 74% go for fine dining in 5-star hotels, 59% of women, 59% of the population, they go for beauty salons. This, mind you, this is the percentage of affluent people. So, socialite parties, 56% enjoy socialite parties, 47% purchase health and fitness center services, 42% enjoy live theatre, drama or play, 33% enjoy health and grooming spas for men, 33% go for kitty parties, that is basically women's activity, 23% go to museum or art gallery, and 22% are involved in auction services. So, these tell us that some of these services like fine dining in specialty restaurant or shopping malls or 5-star hotels or beauty salons, socialite parties, etc., they are contributing quite a lot to the affluent people, and affluent people are interested in purchasing these services. So, as an entrepreneur, you would like to provide services in some of these arenas, so that the affluent people can buy these services. We will look at the technological environment in the next session. Thank you.